Before we start, I'd request Swati to say the school prayer.
Good evening, everyone. O hidden light, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. So I can see many new faces here. And this is the School of Ancient Wisdom prayer. It's a Theosophical Society prayer. And basically, it indicates that we are all seekers and that we are that Atma Bindu, that point of light, that hidden light. And we're all connected. So we have a very interesting satsang today. This is it's called the spiral of wisdom because Ma Manize always believed that in the universal adage that change is the only constant. So that is everything is like a circle. It comes back to. But here we also grow in consciousness, and therefore the spiral. So that's how the name of this satsang, the spiral of wisdom, came about. For those of you who are new. So today we have a rather interesting satsang, Transcending Human Limitations by Bidan Roy ji. And to introduce our speaker for today, Bindan's career in finance, spanning prestigious institutions like HSBC. Sorry, what is that? Coates and Deutsche Bank, was marked by his passion for stock markets and a drive to generate wealth for his clients and friends. However, early on, he discovered that the conventional belief about money bringing happiness and the illusion of achieving balance between career, family, health, and wealth didn't hold true for him. Disillusioned, Bindan embarked on a quest for deeper meaning. This journey led him to extensively study and explore the Upanishads over 7 years. Despite his profound learning, he considers himself a lifelong seeker, understanding that the wisdom of these ancient texts is vast and ever unfolding. Driven by a desire to share his profound knowledge, Bindan formed Twame. His mission is to empower others through the timeless teachings of the scriptures, helping them find deeper fulfillment beyond material and superficial measures. It's very interesting. Bindanji, without much more ado, over to you.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me here and being a part of this August company. So let's straight away cut to the chase and come to here. Good to see some of the familiar faces as well when I'm doing this. For most of you who can switch on your video, it will be nice because it's really nice to see your faces when we are talking. It feels good that I'm talking to some human being on the other side. And this is going to be extremely interactive session where we are going to have a lot of questions and answers and debates because one thing we understand very clearly in our scriptures, they have very clearly founded the methodology of learning. They call it Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. So what does it mean? And I kind of explain to you quickly right now so that you start following. The first is Shravanam is all about listening carefully, and which I'm sure each one of you are going to do. And then it's Mananam. Mananam means reflecting on what you have heard. So everything that I say, please don't take it on face value. Think, reflect, participate, ask questions. At some point of time, you feel you're not convinced, call it out. Right? That is, and this is how Upanishads have been said. If you see the format of Upanishads, the teaching of Upanishads, it has always been in question and answer format. It is never a one-sided preachy approach. It's more of a discussion and understanding. And therefore, I will urge each one of you to ask questions as and when the presentation is going on. Do the Mananam part. Think, reflect, ask. And the last is nididhyasana, which is I kind of having completely understood, I'm going to soak in that knowledge. And we will certainly go through certain meditations during the end. So the context is clear to all of you. Please listen carefully, ask questions, and let's inculcate whatever we have learned. All right, so here we go. When the context, the topic over here is where we are talking about scriptures, we are talking about Upanishads, and we are talking about psychology. And we are saying the fusion of psychology with scriptures. So first we need to understand why this fusion is required in the first place. Why can't we directly, straight away, go to scriptures or Upanishads? Why do we bring a psychology angle? So let me ask you a few questions now. Have any one of you attended programs where Upanishadic teachings were given to you, or when you were exposed to Upanishadic teachings?
I'm Malti, and I heard it over the webinar with Swami Chidananda.
Wow, very nice. Thank you. Has it ever happened to any one of you that when we listen to those beautiful words, it sounds very nice, it sounds very fascinating, it sounds very beautiful, but once we leave the room and we get back to life, that somewhere fizzles out. The teaching somewhere fizzles out. Does it happen?
Ever
Yes,
so
Bidan.
often.
Very often, very
Very
often.
often.
That I'm a little older, so perhaps, it kind of disappears in between. And then I have a little trouble recollecting.
All right. Does it also happen sometimes when oh, I'm so sorry, there seems to be a mobile phone here, but just manage with it for a moment. So does it even happen with any one of you over here that we have somewhere gone ahead and listened to the concepts, and somewhere the concepts looks very hazy. It sounds good, the vibe is nice, it feels nice, but we are not able to make sense out of it. Does it happen?
Also, yes.
It happens, right? All right. So let us therefore see why this happens. And I'm going to just open the presentation for you. So let me just open this presentation for you. Yeah. Now, have you heard someone saying that you are just not your body and mind, you are the all-pervading consciousness? Have you heard this?
Yes.
Right. And does it ever happen to you? You say, look, it sounds good that I am not the body and mind and I'm the all-pervading consciousness, but at this point of time, I am completely pervaded by very irritating people around me.
By Maya.
Yes.
Then a lot of times we have also been told, have a detached attitude towards life. Have you heard that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because having a sort of a, Ma used to always say, having attachment with detachment. I remember her telling us that. So that just came into my mind now when you were talking about the detachment and things like that. Yeah.
You're right. And does it, and do you wonder that all my life from the time I'm born, we have been given targets, right? Go after your career, make a good living, go get married, have kids, do well in your life, have a lot of money, go after worldly pursuits, take care of your relationships. And suddenly when you are in 40s, they say, remain detached. Isn't that very confusing? That all our life we have been born and brought up with an idea of being attached, being pursuing our goals, being a part of relationships. And then suddenly we are basically been saying, remain detached. We should have a detached attitude towards all of it. Does it confuse us? Is it?
I think normally the ones who say be detached are the seekers, or the guru. The ones who've told us all our life to be a go-getter. Those
Right.
people very rarely turn around and say be detached.
Be detached. But it can be sometimes very confusion that who to follow, why,
Yes.
what do I do here? Whom should I listen to? There is an entire world going in one direction, and there is a set of people asking me to go in a separate direction. Then, have you ever heard of the concept like letting go? जो हो रहा है होने दो, ये भगवान की इच्छा है, right? Things are moving on, remain in the flow. Have you heard of this?
Yes. Accept is another word.
And make and accept the things as it is. But does it also kind of give you an impression that somewhere I am succumbing to some sort of a suppression? That if I'm just allowing things to be as it is, if I'm accepting things as it is, then am I taking an easy way out? And somewhere, does acceptance happen wholeheartedly? In the sense, when you force yourself to accept, "Ye acha aisa hi hai, let me accept it," is that a true acceptance?
Sometimes you're resigned and you accept.
Sometimes.
You're resigned and you accept.
Exactly. So are we able to see the subtle difference between resignation and acceptance?
Maybe it kind of leads us to dodge things a bit. When we come to that stage, we're kind of dodging, literally doing something which we feel we should do, but then just accepting, well, let me take a dodging kind of attitude and move away kind of thing. And then you begin to question yourself also, whether that's the right thing that we're doing.
Exactly the point. So it kind of confuses us, right? That we really don't know if acceptance is the right approach. Are we becoming a doormat? Are we resigning? Or there is some different meaning, a distinct meaning to these words. Let's take another example of a word called vairagya. How many of you have heard this word vairagya? And what is the general understanding that we have?
We'd love to have more participation, please.
Just seems to be you and me, Ramesh.
Yes. It's not just the three of us talking.
Well, that's absolutely fine, no problem. So what do we think? So when you ask the question like vairagya, if you break the word, it is viraga. It is without raga. Raga is literal translation will be emotions. So somewhere does vairagya mean that we should be devoid of emotions, or we should sort of control our emotions? What do you all say? So these are the words we are exposed to, all of us.
I would say not to be kind of dominated by your emotions.
Not being dominated by your emotions.
Yeah, you can have them. I mean, it's people who are, I think, seekers definitely experience emotions, maybe more so than others, but they don't allow that to kind of influence them. They observe and then they can, respond rather than react.
Respond rather than react. Fair point. Then what do we talk about Mirabai? She was full of emotion, of love.
Yes.
She's left everything, and we pray her as well. Right. So are we seeing the contradiction? Are we seeing the contradiction in the way we look at things? So if we kind of start getting into these concepts at a much deeper level, and we kind of juxtapose in our practical life on a day-to-day basis, we find that there is a lot of disconnect. what is being told and how I feel and how I live, there is a certain amount of disconnect, and therefore it becomes complicated and difficult for us to implement or do things which have been told. But what if I were to tell you that all this which has been told, whether it is certain amount of vairagya, or whether it is Ishwararpana, whether it is Prasad Buddhi, whether it is various other things which has been told, they're all correct. But it generally gets misunderstood because we fail to see the context from where it has been spoken. The context is very important. And what is that context? That is something that helps us when we understand psychology of our mind, when we understand how our mind functions. During the earlier days, when people came for the teachings of Upanishads or Ved, they need to be adhikaris. Adhikaris. Adhikaris means that they are supposed to have certain sadhana chatushtaya. They need to have certain amount of viveka, vairagya, mumukshutva, shatasampati. There are certain aspects which we need to have. That is what was required before we approach the complicated topics like Upanishads or Ved. And there was a proper process in place. But right now, if we directly jump into these concepts without understanding how our mind functions, that is where we end up misinterpreting the meanings of a lot of these things. So let us all understand this. At a physical and a mental level, we all are deeply wired. We are all wired. We are all programmed. We are programmed on account of evolution. Our body and mind is a product of billions of years of evolution. We are programmed on account of genetics. You will see a lot of similarity between how the families behave. We are programmed on account of environment. We are programmed on account of various life events that happens to us. So if you think about it, at the level of body, we all have needs. And at the level of mind, we all have desires, don't we? And isn't that very natural to have? Isn't it? Isn't it very natural to have desires? Isn't it very natural to have needs? I have a need for safety, and therefore I want to earn. Therefore, I want to have relationships. I have the need for acceptance, and therefore I seek validation. I have a need for growth, and therefore I look at expansion. So those needs are there inside me. I need my family to be in a certain manner. I need my personality to be in a certain manner. So there are needs, and plus we have a lot of beliefs that have been given to us. So with those programs, which with so much of needs and so much of pre-programmed beliefs, suddenly if someone comes and tells me that the way to live life is to give up your needs, is to let go, is to accept things as you are, is to remain detached, it becomes extremely difficult. Are you able to relate in your day-to-day life? Do you see the point here? And what happens? What happens when we are unable to do the things which have been told to us? We experience guilt. We feel that we are not good enough. We are not good enough, and therefore we are overpowered by emotions. We are not good enough, therefore we have desires. We are not good enough, therefore we are clinging to the relationships. We are not
But
good
that's
enough.
a kind of a vicious circle, isn't it? We go round and round with this, isn't it?
Exactly.
In a circular path.
Yeah. And how do we break this?
Unless we are ready by ourselves. As you said, if someone tells us give up this, give up that, we won't do it.
Yes.
We would rather hold on to it. But if we ourselves realize, hey, this is enough for me, this is where I am now. At that point, perhaps, and also depending on the life events, that what you have gone through in the life, I think that's the time that you will be able to give up and accept and then move on.
Beautiful point, Meera, what you pointed out, that just by merely someone comes and tells me, do this, 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 we will not be able to do it till the time I am internally convinced about it. I'm completely convinced about it.
As self-awareness?
Sorry?
Can I say it as self-awareness?
Yeah. Self-awareness is an important aspect again here. But how do we bring acceptance? So my point here is, do we see the point here? However we are naturally built, we are trying to change it. Now, the point which I'm asking each one of you, which is very subtle here, are we changing it from a space of acceptance of who I am, or from a space that what I am is not correct? There are two very different things. Do you see this? Most of the times, we kind of want to change because I have been told that these aspects of mine are not correct. You're too full of desires. There's something wrong with you. You get attached to your family too much. Something wrong with you. You are basically going after money. Something wrong with you. Right? Or the second way, as Meera said, I have gone after relationships, but I know sometimes we hit a dead end. I have gone out of a lot of wealth, but I know after beyond a point of time, wealth stops giving me what I'm actually seeking. Do you see the difference? So one is from a space of acceptance. That is okay. I have desires because I am made a certain way. I have my own family background. I have my own programs. I have been taught a certain way. But if we say that I have desires and there's something wrong, that is where the problem happens. Because if you call it something wrong and if you try and suppress it, that desire will show in spirituality. Then that desire will say, look how spiritual I am, how much I know, how much temple visits I do, how many cleansing I do. Do you see this? So somewhere that desire takes a different format. And spirituality in itself becomes a desire. Are you able to see how the mind plays games if we don't necessarily look at our mind very closely? Do you see this?
Yeah, it is quite interesting. It's like when you tell a child not to do, they will do it. And when you tell them, don't tell them anything, just go along with it, probably they'll stop it. So I think we are human beings, probably we go, we try to control, as you said. And when we don't control and then we let the acceptance come to us, I think the life event folds by itself and then we become spiritual. And, that's the realization.
Beautiful, beautiful. And this has been my experience too. Where does this point of right and wrong comes in? If this is punyam, this is papam. If you do these things, you will go to heaven. If you do these things, you will go to hell. from where these comes. Does it come from Ved? Does it come from Upanishads? I'm asking you. Where does it come
I think it comes from our beliefs, Bidan.
And where do we get our beliefs from?
It's the mind, intelligence, the mind.
Our biases.
Our biases. So we have got our beliefs from our parents, from our environments.
From our childhood, yeah.
Our childhood.
Messages that we get from our parents.
Exactly. Do you see this? So we are generally driven by our mind, and therefore it is so important. It is so important to look at our mind. To watch our mind. All right. So what we do and what is important is that psychology is a beautiful tool, to look at your body and mind. It gives you a beautiful perspective to understand that why you are behaving the way you're behaving. Why are you thinking the way you are thinking? Where does these beliefs come from? Are these beliefs have been just taken factually because it has been told to me, or have experienced it? It gives a wonderful tool. It also helps you to accept who you are, because you finally understand that you are a human being, and human being has its own needs, has its own desires. And this is evolution. This is not your personal problem. So it allows you to look at the constituents very clearly, and also allows you to accept who you truly are. Does it make sense? And if we do not understand the construct of our mind, and we simply go ahead to spirituality saying, I want vairagya, I want acceptance, I want shata sampatti, I want viveka, we'll can mess around with ourselves. Right. Now I will ask you a next question, which I'm sure each one you will be able to answer. If psychology is good enough to help us understand the functioning of mind and work through our mind, then why do we need spirituality? Why do we need Upanishads in the first place then? Because psychology is giving you the relationship advice. Psychology is telling you how to deal with people, deal with yourself, deal with your mind. They are giving you a lot of do's and don'ts. Then why do we need scriptures? Why do we need spirituality? Why do we need Upanishads?
Psychology lacks that aspect of reverence, isn't it? The sanctity, the sacredness. It is a kind of cool, cold logic, but the emotional aspect that makes it sacred. I mean, for me, reverence, especially in Bharat, is a very strong thing. Is strong on reverence, because I feel, if I look at it from a scientific perspective, it gives you quick access to a great deal of joy, a feeling of being exposed to a much higher, consciousness in a short span of time when you revere somebody, or when you revere your Ishtadeva, for example.
So has reverence to do something with emotions, Ramesh?
Certainly.
Right.
It is all to do with emotion, I should think. But maybe it wouldn't just be blind emotion that comes from the senses, but an emotion that comes from a higher consciousness, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. You're very, very close to what you're saying, and I like from where you're coming. I'd like to hear from others as well. So Ramesh has beautifully said that psychology can be very dry. It's like give and take. It's like a process. It's like a machine as to how do you manage your mind machine. But when you go to a certain level of spirituality, there is a certain amount of connectedness. There is an emotion. There's a reverence. There's a life to it. Wonderful. What other explanations? Sorry, I've not been reading the chats. So
there are quite a few in the chat box.
Okay. Maybe someone can read it for me sometime. Maybe
I can read it if you want.
Yeah, that will be helpful.
Ramamaniji says it doesn't have samskar. I think all these comments are coming in in response to what we've been speaking. So it has a timestamp. And then Manjuji said to evolve. And then Shantarajji said, we are the body, mind, spirit entities. Psychology is very mind-centered.
Right. So someone said we are a body, mind, spirit entity, and the psychology is very mind-centric. Perfect. I get your point from where you're coming. So this is the second answer, that when you look at ourselves from our ancient times, they have divided our personality into 5 koshas. They call it panch koshas. One is the physical body that you and I can see, right? That is called Annamaya kosha. Fair point, we all understand what is Annamaya kosha, our brain, our blood cells, our hormones, Annamaya kosha. Behind that Annamaya kosha, there is prana. There is a prana which kind of flows through it. So the blood is not flowing by itself. There's a prana that makes it flow. That is pranamaya kosha. Behind that pranamaya kosha, there is a manomaya kosha. What is manomaya kosha? It is the set of emotions. It is a set of beliefs that you carry. It's your thoughts and your emotion. That becomes manomaya kosha. Behind the manomaya kosha, there is something called vijnanmaya kosha. And what is vijnanmaya kosha? Vijnanmaya kosha is that intuitive ability to take decisions. You sort of discern that this is right or this is wrong, which is now we are slowly getting into a subconscious level when we are talking about Vijnanmaya kosha. And behind the Vijnanmaya kosha, there is something called an Anandamaya kosha. And then in the end, they say that you are none of this.
Beg your pardon?
And in the end, they say you are none of this. These are experiences. So in when you are looking at psychology, somewhere they're stopping at manomaya kosha. And to some extent, they're also talking about subconscious. They talk a lot about shadows. They lot of talk about traumas, right? So let me then help you understand. Now, my question still is that why do we go to spirituality? So one answer which Ramesh gave it to me, it has that essence. It has that feel, that spirituality, right? Another person said that, yeah, it allows us to explore. Any other concept that you have? Why spirituality or why Upanishads? When psychology today can help you?
Psychology is very mind-based, right? Which is great, and it gives you all the knowledge that you need. But at the same time, there's always 2 sides to a coin. You can keep having conversations, debates, saying this works for me, this doesn't work for me. And this can be right, this can't be right. There's so many perceptions to it. And the conversation can be endless.
You said a very interesting word, Ramya. This works for me, this doesn't work for me. If you think about it, psychology is very me-centric.
I think Bidan, you go towards Upanishads to really understand I'm not the body, I'm not the mind.
Yeah. And psychology stops at the level of
body and mind.
It's beyond mind, a deeper connection. I would look at it like that, my purpose being. So where psychology is more for me on a day-to-day basis, probably a tool to function, because if I'm in a relationship, it helps me deal with maybe the thought and the emotion at that level. It will not go beyond that. So that is where the spirituality for me comes in.
Perfect.
Going beyond mind and body. Maybe the soul part, it is not touching. The psychologist.
Spirituality is a realization, the real I. You go beyond mind. You find out who you are. You find you are a part of divine.
I think spirituality, it's you feel, you feel it. I think you go into the core as you understand the spirituality and learn about Upanishads and all those things. That's when you realize, oh, this is what I'm missing. So the core of it, yes.
You know, it suddenly occurred to me when everyone was talking that psychology seems to deal with the lower I, the one that identifies you as someone separate from the others.
Beautiful.
Whereas the spirituality talks from a higher I, which is we're all the part of one whole.
Excellent. This is a fun talking to a group like this and asking them to do mananam. Because what happens is everybody starts thinking, talking, and they start building on what each one of us said, and they finally conclude so beautifully. And this happens in almost every discussion that we have. And so beautifully, each one of you are coming, and Ramesh, you have sort of pulled it out so well that there are two levels. One is the I level, which is at the body and mind. And there is another higher I, which is more elaborate, which is more up there. And there is a certain amount of a distinction. And psychology is working at one level of I, and spirituality is also working at a slightly different level of an I, right? And therefore, having both eyes are equally important. Because whatever said and done, you are staying here in the Vyavarika Satyam. You are staying in this world. That I is required, but that I is required too. The question is, why? And why do we require that spiritual I? Let's understand with the help of a story, because most of you are aware of this, but let's understand with a story. So this story has been narrated by Sanjay Mehra, one of the most beautiful stories I've ever heard. So he always used to look outside his office, and he used to see a cobbler. And the cobbler, of course, are poor people. So the cobbler used to sit, and he used to see that there was a dog who used to come and sit next to the cobbler. And there never used to be any communication between the dog and the cobbler, but there was some kind of a connect. So you understand what I mean? That sometimes you don't have communication with anyone, but there's a certain amount of a connect. And the cobbler every day used to buy certain amount of milk and biscuits for the dog. Every day he used to do it. Not only he used to do that, he used to get some amount of food and he used to spray on the pavement so that the birds can basically go and have it. Also during the day, what Sanjay used to see, that there used to be a lot of people waiting on the side and asking cobbler the way to this place or that place. And the cobbler used to leave his work, knowing very well that there's no business coming from that person, still used to take interest in guiding those people to go to their paths. Sometimes when you're in the pavement, you also come across a lot of homeless people. And Sanjay was surprised to see that this cobbler not only used to offer his food to those homeless people, but more importantly, used to engage in a conversation with them. And those people who were homeless, destitute, they were not even given food. Someone talked with them. They used to feel so peaceful and nice. So Sanjay decided, no, I need to go and talk to this person. How is it he doing all these things? And he went and introduced himself, and he greeted and saying that I have come to meet you. And I'm basically seeing all these things, and I'm very inquisitive, very motivated to see how are you able to do this. The cobbler smiled. He said his name is Dayaram and asked, would you like to have a cup of tea with me? Sanjay was shocked. Why? The cobbler would hardly be making 100 rupees a day, out of which somewhere around 12 rupees he basically buys those milks and biscuits for the dog. And 2 cups of tea will cost him somewhere around 12 rupees extra. So out of his 100 rupees, he is ready to spend 25% of his money, which is a big deal for the cobbler. And then Sanjay said, this guy is not wealthy, but he is extremely rich because he's ready to spend a lot of his money without even knowing who Sanjay is. And also Sanjay felt that this guy was so effortless. There was a sense of calm. There was an abundant sense of richness, radiance in this guy. And they chatted for a while. And then Sanjay told him, I observed that you have always been giving milk to this dog. Why do you do that? And the cobbler smiled and said, oh, this dog, isn't he the same creation like us? One simple word. And he put the entire Advait philosophy in one line. That everything is nothing but manifestation of God. One line. Isn't the dog the same creation like us? And then the cobbler went up by saying, it will be too egoistic for me to believe that I am giving this dog something. It is he who is giving it. And it is happening through me. And he beautifully summed up the concept of Karma Yoga. Beautifully summed up the concept of Karma Yoga, that I am not the doer. I am just the conduit through which the universe is expressing itself. And therefore, I'm not going to take any kind of a credit for the work that I'm doing. Simple words, but so beautifully said. And then Sanjay said, wow, this guy is amazing. And then Sanjay wanted to give him some money. The cobbler said no. And then Sanjay said, hey, it's not, I'm not giving you the money. It's the universe who is giving money through me. So they all laughed. And when Sanjay was about to leave, thanking cobbler for his time, cobbler said, sir, आपको एक बात बताता हूँ. मांगो उसी से, बांटो खुशी से, और कहो ना किसी से.
Wow, very profound.
This is a true story. That मांगो उसी से, बांटो खुशी से, और कहो ना किसी से. My question to each one of you is, the cobbler doesn't have money. If you look at the Maslow's hierarchy theory, he's at the bottom level, where there is no shelter, there is no food for him proper. What makes him so happy? What keeps him so peaceful? Because if you look from a psychology perspective, he has needs. His life is difficult. But how is Dayaram so content, so peaceful, so happy, so rich, even though he doesn't have a home, even though he doesn't have a wealth, even though he has no material possessions? Why? Any guesses?
He has reached the spiritual level?
Somewhere he has understood, not intellectually, but intuitively, the interconnected of everything around him. So Swami Chinmayananda gives a very nice example. He says that if you're sitting next to a place, in a crowded place, and someone pokes the finger in your eyes, you will get really upset with that person. But by mistake, if you use your finger and poke your eye, will you get angry with your finger? No. Why? Two different fingers, right? The finger only poked your eye. Why are you getting angry on that person, and why aren't you getting angry on your own finger? Because you know it's your own finger. So when you have an understanding, not intellectual understanding, proper understanding that the universe is one, everything is one. There is no differentiation between you and me. The consciousness that shines through you and the one which shines through me is one. And the feeling of oneness automatically arises within you. Then it really doesn't matter. But it has to go beyond intellectual understanding. And that is what spirituality is all about. Spirituality is all about not necessarily trying to figure out the solutions of my problems. And therefore, Upanishads will never give you that do these things to take care of your problems, because they trust the human intelligence. Human intelligence is good enough to solve the problems it has created. It wants us to go beyond the problems. At the level of psychology, we try and solve the problems. At the level of Upanishads, we try and dissolve the problem. And therefore, both the levels are equally important. And one is a stepping stone to someone else. So when we really get into the essence of Upanishads, as Ramesh beautifully summed up, that there is a body and mind which has needs. which has beliefs, which has evolution, which has genetics, which has its own karma. Call it prarabdha karma, call it sanchita karma, whatever you want to say, you say it. Which has its own programs, which has its own path. But there is an essence inside you. That essence is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Or that essence is Sat, Chit, Ananda. That essence is eternal. It is complete. It is changeless. It is permanent. And it is the source of joy. And the day we understand that essence and realize it, then body and mind will go through its own processes. But something else happens. We suddenly quantum leap to a different level of reality. And that is what spirituality does. The spirituality, idea of spirituality is to transcend, not to solve. And both of them is now my question to you, each one of you, is that why this knowledge has been prevalent from years, from 5,000, 10,000 years, 20,000 years, God knows since when. Then why is it that has not pervaded within ourselves or percolated within ourselves? Or the other way to ask you is, how do we access that inner being? How do we go there? How do we go there? What is the way to claim that true essence, which is Sat Chit Ananda, which is the source of all the joy, which is Sat Vichit Chit? What do you all say? Okay, let me help you with an example.
By transcending the I, me, myself personality.
And how do we do it?
We transcend by understanding, beyond, by going beyond that I, my desires, me is important, all of that. And then when you understand that these desires are going to be never ending, there is a, fulfillment each time it rises above and all of that. And there comes a point when you want to put a stop to it and you want to transcend.
Yes. You're kind of saying that what is the level, where do I, so these are things that will happen for you to start moving inwards, and that's absolutely right. So let's do a quick, let's understand this with the help of a story, and this is what Upanishads are trying to tell us. Do you know what is method acting? Anybody would want to tell me what is method acting? So method acting is an acting in which the actor basically gets into the skin of the role. So if you're playing a role of someone who has been brutally assaulted, you will feel like that person. And you will feel like that person for days and days and days to get in the skin of that role. And therefore you see a lot of actors, after doing a specific act, gets into depression because they kind of start believing that they are that entity. That's method acting, and that is very prevalent these days, right? So imagine there's a method actor and he's supposed to play a role of a beggar. Definitely the actor is a superstar and he's a lot of money. And he gets into the skin of that role and he basically behaves and feels like a beggar. And then he does a beautiful act. People applaud, people clap. But what happens after the act gets over? He is not able to come back to his senses and he continues to be in the role of a beggar. So what will happen to his life? Even though he has everything, even though he has all the riches, but every moment he will feel that he has nothing. And this is what Upanishads tells us, that we are so identified with our roles, so deeply identified with our beliefs, with our panchakoshas, so deeply identified that we kind of start feeling that the problems of the body and mind is my problem. While inherently we are complete, we don't need anyone. Inherently, we are limitless. Inherently, we are eternal. We are not going to die. We are never going to be born. Eternally, we are changeless. Eternally, we are the source of joy and happiness. But our identification is so strong with the body and mind complex, specifically with our roles, role of a mother, role of a father, role of a spouse, role of a teacher, so many roles that we play. But the problem of the roles, the problem of the body, and the problem of the mind ends up becoming my problem. And therefore, the only way for the actor to become normal from a beggar back to an actor is not to earn a lot of money, but just to know that he is a rich actor. Similarly, to become truly enlightened, you don't need to do hajar things. You just need to rediscover your inner essence. And the day you rediscover your inner essence, you will be like Dayaram, where you will be the source of happiness. You will be the source of unbridled expression, irrespective of your condition. And they say that in this state, you never work for happiness. You work out of happiness. You never work for fulfillment. You work out of fulfillment. Because that is your intrinsic nature. You are complete, you are happy, you are eternal within your own self. So that is what scriptures, that is what Upanishads wants us to discover, the higher I, as you all concluded. But before we move to the higher I, it is important to understand the lower I. And therefore, knowing how the mind functions, understanding, seeing the mind as a separate entity is a stepping stone to understand who is the one who is observing the mind. And once you start going there, something miraculous. With this, I'm going to stop it right now. If you all have time for next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll be happy to take you through a Vedantic meditation to just give a glimpse of your essential nature. Are you all okay with it?
Certainly.
Yes.
All right. Can I just take a moment for you to ask if at all is possible, can you get an earphone or a headphone? Or can you make sure that you are comfortable for next 5 to 7 minutes? I will request none of you to be disturbed. Only for 5 to 7 minutes. Possible? Right? All right. So let's do this. Okay, I will take you through a certain meditative experience right now and tell me what you feel after that. Please close your eyes. Let's do this. Gently close your eyes. Make sure you're comfortably seated. Your back is straight and rested either on the chair or on the wall. Just be relaxed. Take the attention to your feet. Make sure your feet is relaxed. Take the attention to your legs. Make sure your legs are relaxed. Take the attention to your thighs. relax. Attention to your hips, relax. Attention to your back, make sure your back is straight, comfortably relaxed against the chair or the wall. Take your attention to the shoulders. Generally, that's the part which is stressed. Relax it. Attention to the back of your neck. Relax. Attention to the back of your head. Relax. Top of your head. Relax. Attention to your forehead. Your forehead should be relaxed. Your eyebrows, your eyes, relax. Your teeth, your tongue, everything should be relaxed. Your neck, your chest, relax. Take a moment and observe your heartbeat. If you're relaxed, you'll be able to. Now take your attention to your stomach. Relax. Take few moments to observe that your breath goes in and goes out. Just observe your breath. Take the attention back to your legs. Relax. Your entire body is completely relaxed. Scan your body from top to down. Now, I'm going to ask you to chant Om with me. Make sure that you are on mute. And after you chant Om, there'll be a gap between two Oms. Make sure in that gap between the two Oms, you just be aware of the very darkness and blankness of everything. So let's start. Breathe in. Stop. Start again. Stop. Start again. Stop. Be in this silence for a few moments. Start again. Silence. Just be aware of the very absence of everything. complete void. Bring your attention back to void. Start again. Silence. Bring your attention to your eyebrow center, a place where you put a tilak or a bindi. Be there for a while. Attention to your eyebrow center, Agya Chakra. Be there for a while. One last Om. Silence. Attention to your Agya Chakra, thus place where you apply your bindi or tilak in between your eyebrows. Be there for a few moments, please. If your mind has wandered, bring it back to Agya Chakra, the eyebrow center. Slowly take the attention back to your breath. Just observe your breath. Now start moving your fingers slowly. Rub your palms and place it right in front of your eyes in a cup shape. Make sure that your energies are preserved. Slowly open your eyes. How do you all feel now?
Like we went to another world and came back.
This is a very powerful meditation. And what this meditation does is between two ohms, there is a silence. In that silence, you are aware of absence of everything. There will be moments where there'll be no sensation of your body. There will be no thoughts. There'll be nothing. But you knew that you existed. You existed, even if there was no mind moving around or no sensations from the body. And when we do this meditation very often and elongate this process, the intuitive understanding of who we truly are automatically emerges. And then something profound happens. And not only this, it relaxes you a lot. It will settle down your mental thing. And you'll feel a certain amount of vibration in your head. You'll feel a lot of peace, and it will remain with you for some time. Great. This is a wonderful conversation that we had today. Just to also reiterate that we are doing this offsite in the same place for 2 days or 3 days, where we are going to expound big time on the Upanishads and psychology, trying to understand the deeper aspects of who am I, understanding the purpose of life, what is karma, what is free will, what is freedom, what is destiny, and we'll go through multiple meditation techniques. If you are interested, please reach out to Ramesh or the numbers which is mentioned over here, and join us in the retreat that we will be holding at this place. Thank you. Yeah.
Roy, Arun this side. Roy, have you experienced Sat, Chit, Anand separately? If yes, then can you define it? I don't want an academic answer. I want your experiential answer.
Thank you, Arun. So the point is, I cannot.
If at all you have experienced it, otherwise.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we cannot ever experience it.
Oh, very much. You can experience it. Otherwise, how do you know these 3 words?
Wonderful. So, Sat, the real nature is the very experiencer. It cannot be experienced. Experience happens of something which is separate from me. I can experience the mind because it is separate from me. I can experience my body because it is separate from me. But I am the very experiencer. That is who I am. So that the fact that I'm the very experiencer, it's like this, Arun. If I were to ask you, can you see your eyes?
Yes, I can. Stand in front of the mirror and you can see it.
You see the reflection of your eyes.
That is what is there in my eyes.
So that is the reflection of your eyes. Your eye is the seer. So I can see everything apart from itself because I is the subject. And everything apart from the I is the object. But the I gets perceived by your mind. So mind basically gets to know that there is some problem in the eye, in your eyes. So if you shut your eyes, who knows it? Someone is the knower. Who is that knower? That knower is your mind. But if your mind goes through ups and downs, when the mind basically expands, when the mind goes through expansion or mind goes through contraction, who knows it? Who is the
Sorry, Roy. Sorry to bother you. You are leading me to 100 questions. Because Sat, Chit, Anand, 3 words.
Yeah.
That's it. Somebody has named it Sat. They would have experienced it, right? Otherwise, how can you name it? You are a Roy, right? Somebody named you.
Right.
Right?
So
Sat means they would have that characteristics of Sat must be there in this word because Sanskrit words are not meaningless. Even if I say you can write an what you call 1,000 pages on
Yes.
That is the power of Sanskrit.
Right.
Right. So that way I'm asking you, Sat Chit Anand if you have experienced it. If it is non-experiential, then it's fine. I'll just keep quiet. That's not a problem.
Yes, Arun. So if we get into the word Sat, and you're right, the Sat, what does the Sat means? It is a transcript of Satyam. Satyam does not mean the seeing the truth. Sat means which has always existed in the past, which exists in the present, and which will always exist in the future. That is Sat, which is irrefutable. So what the Upanishads are trying to tell us, that our essential nature is Sat, which is basically was there in the past, which is in the present, in the future. It is Chit. Chit basically talks about consciousness, that it is the very consciousness which observes everything. So every word has its own meaning. And what is very clearly stated there is these are basically the concept, the idea of who I am. This is called aparushaya. It is something which is intuitively understood. These actually, someone has said that these words are pointer, and this is right. These words basically help us understand our essential nature. But can you experience this? The answer is very clearly no. This is the characteristics of an experiencer. Because if you're able to experience it, that means it is separate from you, and that is not you. And it's good that you're asking this question, and it is important that you ask this question. And if it opens up 100 more questions, Arun, I will encourage you to ask all these 100 questions, because that is how we will finally reach to the truth. And
because your answers are leading me to 100 questions, not my question. So that way the life goes on.
That's absolutely fine.
This session is very limited, so it's fine. I have my own differences, because my experience may be different with your experience of your journey.
Right.
So with due respect to whatever you have perceived, maybe academically or from inner higher realm. So all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions that
I have one clarification.
Yes, sir.
The talk was very good. I saw from your biodata, you read the Upanishads for 7 years. One is, can you tell us something more about that?
Right.
And secondly, if one of us or some of us want to follow, what would be your advice?
Perfect, sir. So, see, Upanishads basically is a part of Ved, or we call it Vedas sometimes. So, however, this Ved was not written by anyone. It was compiled. It was compiled by whom? By Rishi Vedavyasa. Now, where did this knowledge come from? Because this knowledge is about our own self. And this knowledge came by multiple rishis in their superconscious states. When they went into superconscious states, there was an intuitive understanding. And that understanding was later transcribed and put together by Rishi Vedavyas into Ved or Vedas or Vedanta. Now in Ved, there are two parts. 95% of the Ved is basically on a Karma Kanda side, which is basically they were nature worshippers. They used to do a whole lot of things to kind of transact with the nature, to kind of purify themselves. And the latter part of Ved is called Veda Anta or Vedanta. There in Vedanta, they basically talk about one thing, or rather three things. One, the nature of the universe. What is this universe made up of? From where did this universe come? Why? How did everything evolve? Then they talk about God. What is Ishvara? Is the God the way we see it right now? Or what is Ishvara? How do you basically encapsulate the idea of God? And third, your own self, who you truly are, or who am I? So in Upanishads, these are the three things which is clearly stated out about the evolution of the universe, about Ishvara, about your own self. And by knowing this, you start getting into an inner journey of trying to understand yourself layer by layer, layer by layer, layer by layer. So that is the first thing. Now, how we should basically go to Upanishads? The first thing that we should do is that we should go step by step. straight away going to Upanishad will be very complicated. So there is something called Prakaranam. Prakaranam is written by acharyas to simplify the concept. Say, for example, if I use the word mouse, the word mouse will have multiple meanings. In biological reference, it is that creature mouse. In the IT sector, it is something else. So similarly, the word which is used in Upanishads like Atman, Brahman, Turyam, it has to be understood in the right context. So we should go with a Prakaranam. And one of the most elementary Prakaranam which has been suggested is Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha is a place where we all should start from. And there are multiple places. If you go to the YouTube, there are very good teachers. Personally, I have studied from multiple teachers. The teacher that I have always referred to is Shri Paramatmananda ji, who is based out of Chennai, and he's a great Advaitian teacher. So I have referred to his talks, but there are multiple teachers. Please start with Tattva Bodha. After you have sort of got Tattva Bodha well, then we can move into Bhagavad Gita, we can move into various. So it has to go step by step, but we should follow one specific teacher for a fairly longer period of time. Does it help?
Thank you. It helps. And you have any, studies of other faiths or other religions?
No, I have not studied in Sanatana Dharma itself. Advait is one of the concepts. Then there is Dvait, there is Vishisht Dvait, there is multiple philosophies, and within each philosophies there are multiple lines, and it's multiple lifetimes work. I have restricted myself.
Thank you so much. Very nice of you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bidanji. And if anybody else has any more questions, please do speak up now. We've almost run out of time. Okay. So I take it that there are no more questions. So we come to the end of this today's satsang. Would you like to give us the contact number, Bidanji?
Yes.
If you could just type it out in the chat, or maybe I'll type it out if you just tell us what it is.
Okay. So Ranjita, would you just want to share that out over there? Okay, I'll just give mine.
Yeah.
So it is 99456 59 100. 99456 59 100. Yes. Right. So I can always be reached out on this number on a WhatsApp or a call anytime. More than happy to.
So
can I end this with a prayer? Can I just go ahead and do a prayer right now?
Sure. Okay.
If there are no more questions, yeah.
Yeah, there are no more questions. Please do go ahead with the prayer. Normally we end with the Loka Samasta, so we'll do that at the end.
So let's do that.
And also,
no problem.
Okay, no. It'll be nice for you to end your prayer as well. We'd love to hear, because you really made us, it was a very profound program today. And to acknowledge you from the School of Ancient Wisdom, I must say that you've definitely been a thinking person's person, and you've kind of made us stopped our thinking, actually, because many of the questions were very profound, and it's not easy to just jump to an answer. I think that silence that comes in between the thoughts is maybe the essence that you want us to touch upon. Maybe more things will come out of that. Thank you so much, Bidanji, and I think I got your pronunciation of your name wrong initially.
And that's okay.
So yeah. I've just got reading glasses, you see. So sometimes, when you're reading these small texts on the mobile, it's a little. So thank you so much for raising a consciousness. I think you've stilled the mind and raised the consciousness today. You've given us an essence of what that is, and I think your research is amazing for a person who appears to be young. I don't know how old you are.
No, I'm touching 50 very soon, so please don't go by that.
Okay. I've crossed that already.
Okay.
So, yes. So the thing is that, looks can be deceptive, but in your case, it's very clear that, there's an old soul that sits in that young body. And so it's very inspiring for all of us too. And it's wonderful, really. Thank you so much for this satsang. And please go ahead with your prayer. After that, I'll end with the lokasanas.
All right. This prayer is basically all about thanking our teachers and making sure that we all work with unified energy. Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Bidanji. Now the program details I think you put there in the chat, isn't it? So
share it in chat box.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ranjitaji. So so for those of you who are interested to attend this program, when is this exactly?
September 28th, 29th, and 30th. It's a 27, 28, 29.
Okay. So for those of us who are interested in this program, it will be held at the School of Ancient Wisdom itself. Please do contact Bidanji or Ranjitaji.
Ranjita, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have to focus sometimes. Now, the contact details are here. So, and she's given her number as well. So that's the contact detail. On that note of gratitude, we now come to the end of today's Spiral of Wisdom Satsang. So let us all sit straight with the back, neck, and head aligned. While we do the Loka Samasta, let us also remember our loved ones, those in our communities, people around us who might need these prayers. If your loved ones or your friends or anybody who you know need specific prayers, remember their name and what kind of a prayer they would need, because the power of prayer is immense, and I've experienced it myself. Also, let us send out thoughts of love and truth to the world at large. The world is going through a very trying phase at the moment, but before the beautiful new phase comes in and becomes visible to all of us. So let us all let us all sit straight with our back, neck, and head aligned. Take a nice deep breath. And let go. Observe the silence within, the language of the soul. It connects us all. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. Thank you, Bidanji. And thank you all for joining us, joining in today. Please do come again next Thursday for another wonderful satsang. Same time, same place. And do spread the word as well. Until then, good night and God bless.
Thank you.
Hari Om.